Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Live Free Now show, bringing you the news, views, tips, tools you can use to live a free and prosperous life. I want to thank you so very much for joining us today. It looks like we got a lot of people on the stream tuning in live on the YouTubes. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Of course, we got C. Martin in the house burning us up for showing up a minute late. Burning us up? What does he mean by that? We got Viva Les, the curandera, fashionably late as always. Looks like the Peanut Gallery showed up today. Hey, guys, I want to thank you for joining us. We got a wonderful program today. We're going to be talking about the digital ID scam, scheme, plandemic, scamdemic, rockdemic. You got it. You know, we just had 39 people live and then it dropped to 21. That's interesting. I want to say hello to somebody who some of you know, good friend of mine, who we have a sordid past. Sordid, is that the right word? He is a wordsmith. The one, the only, ladies and gentlemen, Manitty.
What up, what up, what up? How's it going, everybody?
Manitty, my job back. So as you know, this guy here, Ryan Manitty, 2 N's, 1 T.
That's right.
He would join us on the show, and he was also the VP of sales. Which camera are we looking at? Camera 4. He was the VP of sales here at Live Free Academy. We had a little falling out, so to speak. Some would call it a big falling out. Small in the grand scheme of things. But we're back in action, and it's good to have you back.
Glad to be back.
So thank you for joining us today. Ryan's going to be riding shotgun on some of the shows. Unless the audience is like, Ryan's got to come back or we're never tuning in again. But we're going to be riding shotgun with Ryan on some of the shows. And maybe we'll even bring back Conspiracy Corner. Unprepped today. We don't have anything prepped.
The Conspiracy Corner.
Yeah. It's not like we prepped anything before until like right before the show. Anyway. But it's good to have Ryan back. We're going to be talking digital ID today. We're going to be talking about identity. We're going to talk about faith. We're going to invite you to several of the great programs we have in the future for you, free webinars, all sorts of good stuff. But Mr. Ray Guy, why don't you take a sec to let folks know what you've been up to? And I'm going to pop you over here on camera number 3. Nope. There he is.
Yeah. Well, I know John wanted me to talk a little bit about why I left. Basically, John and I got way too comfortable with each other, and it resulted in some heated arguments, and also, like leading up to me leaving, I thought that I was no longer heard or that my suggestions were being actually thoughtfully considered. And I really started to wonder whether I was going to be here at LFA for as long as I had hoped. I thought that, I was going to be here for decades. We were going to build this company. We're going to build more freedom for everybody who follows us, and all these things. We had these grand aspirations, and I kind of saw that window closing. And then John and I had like one knockdown, drag out, and I went home early, and I was just like taking the day to calm down. Then I had calmed down, and the next day I came into the office thinking like, all right, let's mend fences, let's get the show back on the road, and just carry on thoughtfully, and no more blow-ups, this kind of thing.
And then what happened?
And then I came into the office. We had just done a webinar, and there was a client calling, trying to purchase a big offer that we had at the time. So can't remember the exact reason, but for whatever reason, I had to split up the payment, and it wouldn't go through. Oh, she wanted to use multiple cards. So we don't have that functionality on our website. So I would have to, use one card and then the other. And so I was like, all right, how does John want me to handle this? So I went into his office and I said, hey, do you want me to run this on the payment processor, process the 2 different cards? And he just looks at me and he's just like, I don't know, Ryan. What do you think you should do? And the way that he looked at me, just in his eyes, I kind of told me everything right there. And I was just like, I'm done. And before I'd even like really made the decision that I was done, like I just autonomously just started packing things up. And so I left that day. And John, his big gripe is like, you didn't give me 2 weeks. You didn't give me 2 weeks notice. Although I did say, I was like, hey, if you need anything, like in my goodbye message, I said, if you need anything, I'm here, not going anywhere. So just let me know and I'll be happy to get you whatever you need. And then he reached out once. I immediately got him what he needed. But still to this day, he says that I left him high and dry.
This is how this segment's going to go.
Still to this day, he says I left him high and dry without giving him a notice. Although I was there, and when he did reach out, I fulfilled.
But you're leaving a piece out.
What's the piece?
The silent treatment.
Oh, the silent treatment.
You don't have to get into the details that behind that, but
okay. Well, I mean, it's kind of important if we're going to talk about the silent treatment piece.
Well, you can learn to speak in vagaries to protect people that aren't present.
Correct. So things after I left.
There's new people that are like, what the hell are they even talking about?
Yeah. Things had gotten progressively more hostile toward me. And it made me not want to talk to John and other individuals on the property. So, looking back, I could have handled it in a different way, but I felt that with how hostile things were going, and I was also told that I had to leave the property in 2 or 3 weeks, which we were having our wedding. So days after our wedding, instead of going on the honeymoon that we had planned and now postponed, we had to move everything off of the property. And so there was a lot of bitterness and a lot of hostility, which caused me not to want to talk to anybody on the property, John and other individuals. So that was that. And then months down the road, John and I linked up at
a men's retreat.
And it was just like old times, almost instantly. Started joking around, palling around,
whiskey,
having a couple whiskeys.
Just a couple.
And then he is subtly dropping hints that he'd like me to come back. And I'm picking up on the hints, but I'm not really giving him anything towards that. I'm like, I'm not going to acknowledge this right now until he straight up asks. He's like, what do you think about coming back? He's like, did you notice I was dropping hints this whole time? I was like, yes, I noticed. John has this thing where he thinks like only he can like notice that he's dropping the subtle
I got a
hints.
lot of things.
But yeah. And then we talked about what that would look like and what kind of deal we could strike to come back. And after many deliberations, several meals together, a couple more whiskeys, more meals together, we decided that we were going to make this official. And here I am.
Here he is. There's a few things I could clean up to defend myself, but I'm not going to, because I'm not interested in that. And what I want to share in this whole thing, even though I did just say that, I guess. I've been jamming lately with this guy, Andy Elliott. He's a sales trainer, coach, Christian. And one of the things that makes him attractive to his audience, one of the reasons I'm attracted to him, is the vulnerability aspect and the self-development. So that's a track that I've been on lately. And, sometimes when people walk out of your life, you can get defensive and get all egoed out, or you can take a step back, take a breath, and you can reflect and be like, wow, what role did I play in the destruction, dissolution of this relationship? And that's what I chose to do. And I tell you what, that approach has bore massive fruit in my life, because it turns out Ryan's not the only one that has felt unheard in relationship with me. And oftentimes, as I teach, adversity is a seed of an equal or greater benefit. So yeah, it was hard having the VP of sales, business partner, and best friend. I don't have a lot of friends, so that's not saying much, but I did consider Ryan my best friend and still do. So that was hard on me, but it revealed, it's like if you'll look, right, it's actually like in the mirror. Usually we look in the mirror, and actually most people look in the mirror and they're not happy with what they see. Generally, I'm really happy with what I see. But then whenever people walk out or whenever stuff is communicated to you, more often than not, people turn away. They don't want to look at it. But if you give yourself the privilege of looking and just looking into there like, oh, what's going on? Why am I showing up like this? Why am I showing up in a way that somebody doesn't even want to work with me? Whew. It just presents a great opportunity for self-reflection. And I thank God every day for the opportunities like that. And I tell you what, we'll save the faith talk here in a sec, because I think somebody, I don't know if this is a jab or whatever. We're getting jabs all over the place. Here we go. Welcome back, Ryan. Are you still nuts about Orthodox Christianity? Are you still a nut about Orthodox Christianity?
I am
even more nuts.
I'm nuttier than ever about Orthodoxy. I absolutely love it. And I just had the great fortune of bringing John and several friends, some of whom are atheists, to the Orthodox Church. I don't know that anybody's going to be converting anytime soon, but the message that I got after the service is that everybody thinks that it's very reverent, very beautiful service. So if nothing else, people enjoyed it. And, I guess that's all I can really ask for. But, one thing that I will say kind of on this topic is one reason I felt confident in coming back is not only because John's continuously working on himself and improving as a human being and spiritually, but that he was embodying Christianity more. And the way that I saw him humble himself at the men's retreat, kind of talking about these things to guys who, they're worth millions of dollars. And he's telling them, like, yeah, the way that I showed up for Ryan, the way that I showed up for other people in my life, it is incongruent with who I want to be, and I want to be better in the future. So to see someone humble themselves to that extent, it really impressed me. And, I thought, I'm like, this is great. And I think that, we all deserve another chance. And as Jesus talks about in the Bible, he says, I can't remember who asked him, but they say, I think one of the apostles, they say, Lord, how many times should we forgive someone? Even 7 times in a day? And he says, not only 7, but 7 times 70. So that's about 500 times a day that you should be forgiving someone. So I would be a hypocrite if I didn't follow the master, as he's commonly referred to, throughout Luke. I'm reading Luke right now.
He's a Luke guy.
So yeah.
Well, thanks for noticing, Ryan.
He noticed.
Because it's not easy. So let's go ahead and get into faith. And don't worry, guys, if you're joined, because digital ID is in the title. Intentfully, digital ID is in the title, because I know everybody's gangbusters about digital ID. And I tell you what, it's something as a marketer, as a leader, been in the game for a while, been trying to wake people up and activate people for a while. And we all know digital ID was coming, and digital ID in many ways is already here. And it's kind of like everybody just needs to adopt this exit and build thing as a lifestyle and integrate it into their daily life regularly and make a joyful, fun practice out of it, because it's a good way to live anyway. But whenever all of a sudden the UK is going to implement digital ID, and then that is why everyone's, oh, wow, we better take action now. Even though we've known about the New World Order since 2020 and the COVID lockdowns or shortly thereafter, or even before, let's take action now. At times, to be honest, that's frustrating as someone that's been telling folks to take concerted and consistent action consistently. Concerted, consistent. Was there another C? I said the same one twice.
Concerted, consistent.
Constant, whatever. Anyway.
Constipated.
No, not constipated. Let it flow. It's just kind of like, okay, everybody. But of course, we're going to leverage that everybody's freaked out about digital ID, as you should be. But nonetheless, we're going to segue faith into digital ID. I was going to start with digital ID, then segue into faith. But here we are. So, I want to share something. And, if people are annoyed, I frankly don't care, because this is the fruit that a relationship with Christ has had in my life. I never would have been able to fully come to terms with the person that I was, that I still am, and that I'm working through, were it not for finally understanding and aligning with the teaching of Jesus, Yeshua, about forgiveness, right? Because it's like, wow, this man, God, chose to sacrifice himself in order to forgive people of their sins, separation from God, missing the mark. And that's like just a really powerful image, let alone reality, but just the thought of it. If you're atheist or whatever, you can use it as a framework. It's way more powerful if you're like, wow, this really is God. And he's still there looking over my shoulder and comforting me at any time. But even if it's just a framework, this idea of forgiveness, when you can forgive yourself, it makes it easier to accept things and to learn things about yourself, because absent that forgiveness framework and a relationship with Christ and praying to Christ for forgiveness, it would have been much more difficult for me to really accept the harm that I was causing to others. So you've probably seen it more and more in my work. I just want to just like let people know that opportunity is there for every single one of us. And for some reason, the church and churches, Ryan's like, not my church, the church, the only true church. Churches and organized religion and individual human beings have kind of really mucked up the message of Christ and turned a lot of people off of it. Maybe even your parents have, in the way that they treated you and saying it was some Christian thing or whatever. And that's really unfortunate. But for those that are like looking for support in life, it's one thing to get support from humans, and most definitely don't neglect that. Because if you got good people in your corner, as I do, some of them are watching right now. One of them sitting right here next to me. It makes a world of difference. But when you could bring God into your corner, why not have him on your team? You're doing yourself a great disservice not to. So just want to throw that out there. You got anything to add to that, Ray Guy?
I mean, I could talk theology and all of that kind of stuff all day.
We try not to talk about that all day here at the office.
Although it still happens.
Yeah, but less than before.
Less than before. It was usually like 3 20-minute conversations. Yesterday, we were able to limit it to just 1 10-minute. So
we got stuff to do.
Right. But, in terms of, kind of like the bearing fruit, one thing that's, that it's talked about in the Bible is confessing your sins. And so, a lot of people kind of have issue with that. And I know the whole conspiratorial angle with the Catholic Church, where people say, oh, well, they just had you confess your sins so that they would have leverage against you, and then they could use it against you as blackmail. But there is, so it's a sacrament / mystery for a reason. And so I recently did Orthodox confession. which I'm not a member in the Orthodox Church yet. We actually are moving. We could talk about this more in the digital ID kind of portion, but we're moving soon, and we knew that we were going to be moving for the last 6 months. So I didn't enter catechesis for the Orthodox Church because I knew that we were going to be moving and I was going to be changing parishes. So I was going to join catechesis and become a catechumen to join the church somewhere else. So still an inquirer.
You got to say what that is
at this point.
I always try when I say something that maybe everybody doesn't understand to drop a little descriptor.
Catechesis is basically like classes to kind of understand what you're getting into. So I know that in other churches or in other spiritual disciplines, you don't really need a catechesis. Really, your catechesis is kind of joining and then going through it. But in Orthodox Christianity, it's a lot more, I wouldn't say demanding, but it's kind of giving you the lowdown on what exactly is going down in the church and in the life of the church and what your life is going to now kind of consist of, and kind of letting you know what you're getting yourself into. So I'm excited to go through the catechesis classes and to be an official catechumen. I've already talked to my new priest, and he's very excited to enroll me as a catechumen. But I did all this coming back to, I recently did Orthodox confession, which is, I couldn't be absolved because I'm not in the church yet, but
you better drive safe.
It was it was a spiritual council session, I guess you could say. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And I only talked about kind of the sins that I've been kind of dealing with recently. And to humble yourself in front of another man is honestly a great gift from God, in my opinion. And so I would encourage everybody, doesn't necessarily have to be Orthodox Church, but Jesus says, confess your sins to one another. So I would encourage anybody, like if you're having a really hard time and maybe you're doing things that you're not proud of or anything of the like, just tell someone that you love. Tell your wife, tell your husband, tell your partner, tell your brother, your sister, maybe your parents, whoever you can trust with that kind of information, and that would, look for you to benefit either physically or spiritually or whatever. I think that that's a great thing to do. And after my confession, I felt a hell of a lot better. And although, I still gotta work to struggle with these passions of mine and various other things, I'm sure when I sit down for like the real Orthodox confession, once I'm in the church, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder. And you're supposed to do like a whole life confession. So that's going to be,
better schedule a lot of time for you.
I know it's going to be, I'm like, how much time do you have? We might need to do a whole 8-hour day or something like that. But yeah, I think that's what I'd say. Confess your sins to one another, someone that you trust, and just get that weight off of your back. And then start taking steps to repent of those sins, those passions, and you'll see the fruit in your life.
Nice, Ryan. Nicely said. And I appreciate too how you dropped in, like, okay, if you're not going to go to church and confess there or whatever. My Protestant church doesn't have the confession, but that's something that I do.
Or communion.
Direct. They did communion once. I was streaming online. I wasn't there. Anyway, I always wanted to do communion, but I wasn't in the Catholic club when I was younger. Felt totally left out. I don't know that I'll ever have what it takes to be in the Orthodox club. I mean, I have what it takes, but boy, oh boy, it's intense. I enjoyed it though, going to church. But I always try to, as somebody that's trying to convey messages, knowing that some people are like, Christianity, no, then it's like, okay, that's fine. Kinda. It's fine. But there's still so much that you could benefit from if you just leverage the teachings of this incredible teacher, master. And one of those is forgiveness. So yeah, confess to your significant other, confess to your mom, just talk about what you've done, and a great weight will be lifted. Even greater weight will be lifted if you confess directly to God.
And one thing that I'll say just a little bit about that, because I got to go like a little ortho mode, right?
Here he goes.
So
hold on, here it is.
What's
Are you
that?
still nuts about ortho? Yes.
Yes.
Initiate ortho mode.
All right. With utilizing Christianity as like a self-help tool,
He doesn't like that.
I don't like it, and this is the reason why. Because you're replacing God as the object of worship and replacing God with yourself as the object of worship. So we're supposed to humble ourselves before God. And like a lot of people say, John and I were talking about this earlier, like it's subservience or submissive. And we're just like, yeah, that's the point. We're submitting to the creator of all things, to God, who has been with us through thick and thin throughout our entire lives, knows our struggles, knows our passions, knows everything that's kind of gone on throughout all of our lives. And so we need to submit and we need to be subservient to God, and he should be the object of our worship, not ourselves, and utilizing Christianity or the Bible or what have you as a tool just for making ourselves even better or even greater. God will do that for us.
It's good stuff. And another, may I offer a different perspective?
No.
There's only one perspective, and that's the Orthodox Church.
I don't know everything. This is just my current understanding.
He humbled himself. I'm totally with that. And also, it's like when I was struggling with going from my head to my heart, I was all in my head, and I was in the Christ consciousness and the agnostics and the book of Thomas, and I can't trust Paul.
The Gnostics, not the agnostics.
Oh yeah, the Gnostics.
It's a different thing.
I used to be agnostic, then experimented with Gnostics. A lot of people say Gnostic. They don't even actually read all of the Gnostic Gospels. There's a lot of them, and they get kind of out there. One of them has like Yahweh is the devil, and Yahweh is the enemy, and it's like this demigod. And then there's like, and then the real God has all these manifestations, like 30 manifestations, and you're like, how can we even wrap our heads around it? Oh, you can't. Go from your head to your heart. Anyway, didn't resonate with it. But one thing that somebody told me, this guy Matt Lepasic, Vanessa knows Matt Lepasic. This guy's an old school 9/11 truther. We Are Change. I hung out with him back in the early days in New York City, actually. He was out there, this guy, and he went like hardcore Christian missionary, preaching on the street. Anyway, he was always there watching and offering input as I was going through this stuff on Facebook. And one thing that he told me that was super potent, and then I want to offer to folks that are struggling with all of this or trying to find their way spiritually. He was like, John, just read scripture and you'll get there. Right. So I did. I started reading more scripture and like resonating with that. Anyway, so it's like if somebody aligns with Christianity or is using the teachings of Jesus for self-development, it's like a foot in the door, so to speak. And then it increases the likelihood that they do dive deeper in a more submissive relationship if they go there, or maybe they make it all the way extreme and go ortho like Raggai.
One thing that I would caution people, and something that I deal with all the time, one of my particular passions is kind of presenting things as if you know everything.
He's learning.
So, I mean, it's a really strong temptation because, you start listening to all of these theological lectures, you start reading these books, you start reading the Bible itself, and then you think but you really don't. And so I would be ashamed of some of the stuff that I've already said in presenting as
in past episodes.
This is the Orthodox perspective. It's like I'm not even in the church yet. And I'm telling you like what the Orthodox like kind of perspective is. So, I mean, a lot of these things, they're my opinion and kind of my current understanding, but, I don't actually know. And so, as people develop their relationship with Christ, they're reading the Bible, they're kind of reading early books. And one thing that I would kind of tell people is like, look at the early church. What did the early church do? So, a lot of people, like, they start reading the Bible to start getting familiar with Jesus Christ, and they start kind of deciding like, oh man, maybe I should go to church, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. Well, a lot of people kind of have this thing of like sola scriptura, which means you only need the scriptures, which is a perspective. But the New Testament wasn't even canonized until the year 340 at the First Council of Nicaea, and I can already hear the
Romans,
the conspiratards.
It's a good conspiracy.
The conspiratards, which I am one of. So
he is humble.
I'm in the conspiratard crew, but I used to be the same way. Council of Nicaea, they butchered the Bible, they injected all this fear and control and all these things. Not the case when you actually like look at the history of it. But so regardless of that, we didn't even get the New Testament until 340 years after Christ's death. So what did practicing Christians do in the first 300 years? I would just pose
they ate meals together.
I would pose that question and kind of let you take it from there. So study scripture, kind of study early church history, and kind of see where you fall. But I think that early church history is really imperative for people kind of forming their ideological and theological positions on Christianity.
There you go. Hit the book of Acts. Okay. All right, guys. I want to make sure we're delivering what we promised here. As you can see, the show today, we have these 4 bullet points we're going to talk about. What digital ID really is and why it's being pushed globally. How identity systems are being used to usher in centralized control. Real-world paths to opt out and live free in both physical and digital realms, and how faith, adversity, and spiritual growth can strengthen your resistance to the beast system.
Strengthen?
So he caught that little tongue slip.
Little tongue slip.
So we spent the first 34 minutes of the show on this bullet point. Let us continue to the others. So as a segue here, we have the book of Revelation. Right? This was something revealed by God to John. And of course, it lays out the end of times and all sorts of crazy stuff happening. The book of Revelation is really hard to understand. It's the hardest to understand in all the New Testament, in my view. But anyway, here's one that we're all familiar with, and it affects us all, and we're talking about it all the time. And it basically says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor. Maybe the predator class isn't even going to be exempt from this. Free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now, of course, this fits perfectly in with what I like to call the 4 horsemen technocracy. And of course, that's pulled from the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, also in the book of Revelation. The 4 horsemen of technocracy, there's 4 pieces. They all interlock and interoperate in order to create this technocratic control grid. But these are the 4 that I've been focusing on because I think they're going to have the greatest impact on our freedom digitally and in the physical world. And these 4 pieces are: 1, digital ID; 2, social credit score; 3, central bank digital currency; and 4, vaccine/carbon passport. And in order to explain this, which, by the way, I'm going to be breaking all this down in a webinar tomorrow, the Crypto Privacy Crackdown Strategic Report. If you're watching the replay of this down the road, this is going live November 6th at 12 p.m. Central. That's tomorrow for those of you that are watching today. But if you're watching the replay, pretty soon here, we're going to put up the replay encore version. So you should still be able to hit that link if this is down the road. But it's livefree.academy/crackdown livefree.academy/crackdown will get you there as long as that link is working, which I hope that it is. There it is. The Crypto Privacy Crackdown Strategic Report. We're going to break some of this down tomorrow and focus on how they're cracking down on private crypto, which is a great solution out. But there's this business adage for business folks, entrepreneurs, to help you run a better business. And it holds that what you don't measure, you can't manage. All right. So it's like keep track of your key performance indicators and your profit and loss statement and how many leads you're converting, and measure those numbers so that you can manage your business effectively. What you don't measure, you can't manage. And I was reflecting on how to most adequately convey like this 4 horsemen thing. And it hit me like, wow, that's exactly what the predator class is doing. They're essentially trying to measure everything about our lives so that they can better manage us. And the 4 horsemen, it just so happens to be that the first 2 pieces, digital ID and social credit score, are about measuring you and I. And the next 2 pieces, central bank digital currency and vaccine/carbon passport, are about managing us. So let's zero in on digital ID. Of course, there's a whole lot of focus and energy on digital ID nowadays, and that comes in the wake of the UK announcement that they are fast-tracking digital ID implementation requirement for those that are working within the UK, which is most people, unless you're young or you're retired or maybe you're out of work. And so they're doing this Fugazi play where it's not mandatory unless you're working, of course. And this is what we've been teaching and encouraging people for quite some time. We saw what their playbook was after COVID. They really made it clear. They're trying to socially engineer people into these docile slave serf citizens that are managed, tracked, controlled easily. And they want you to take the shot so they can do this weird transhumanist stuff. Who knows? Population control, whatever's going on there, graphene, nanobots. I don't know, but I know that I ain't going to be a part of it. And so what they're doing is like, they want you in this little box here. Let's do a box. Bloop. They want you in this box. But most of us are way out here, outside of the box.
That was a satanic hand symbol. No, people are going to be like, dude, he's doing the thing on the stream.
Isn't that like a vagina thing?
No, you were doing this. I'm like, someone's going to be like, whoa, dude, that's an esoteric Aleister Crowley.
What about this? Let me reverse it.
What is that?
I don't know, 6'7" for the parents out there. 6'7". That's probably your generation still says
I don't know
6'7".
what that is, to be honest. I know it's like a thing, but I don't know what it means.
It means worship the devil.
Oh,
probably.
Maybe.
It's some artist.
Sorry, I took you off your groove.
Yeah, you threw us
But
off.
you were doing little hand things.
Right back.
Come on.
All right. This is what we do at the office, distracting each other. Anyway, the box. Yes, the satanic hand sign. They're trying to put you in a box. And a vagina. They're trying to put you in a box. And in all reality, we're all out here still relatively free, right? And in order to get you in the box, they're going to pressure, they're going to control, they're going to manipulate, they're going to socially engineer. What's one of the most effective tactics in order to do that? It's to take away what they see as privileges. Your ability to go into a grocery store, your ability to access banking, that's where CBDCs come in, your ability to leave the 15-minute city district should you exceed a certain carbon allotment that you've been given per the month or whatever period. That's the vaccine/carbon passport. Your ability to work. That's exactly what they did during COVID. In fact, they did just about every single one of those things during COVID, not carbon, but vaccine passport. That's how they're going to try to force us into the box. So how do we not be forced into the box? Well, we anticipate that and we take proactive measures in order to not be forced into the box. What does that look like? Practically speaking, in the case of UK, soon to be everywhere else, you have an outside the system source of income. Outside the system source of income. So it doesn't mean abandon your 40-hour work week corporate job where you got the pension and the benefits coming. It doesn't mean that, but it means start to build outside the system because this is coming, right? And I'm not one of the I told you so guys. I got a colleague that's a big I told you so guy. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. Not you. Do you do that?
I told you
throwing
so.
you under the bus.
I thought you were saying that.
No, I just would have called you out right
Oh.
there. I don't mind calling you out. Anyway,
Who's the colleague?
I'm not going to say it.
Vanessa.
No, it's not Vanessa. It's not a colleague that works with me. It's an
I'm just
associate.
kidding, Vanessa.
Anyway, I try not to call people out. Except myself and Ryan. So I don't want to be I told you so guy, but we have been saying this since before the UK thing. Like, hey, you got to find outside the system source of income. And I get it. Everybody's got lives and bills to pay and kids to deal with and vacations or whatever. But I just really want to encourage people, like I said before, to make this exit and build thing, alternative income, using cryptocurrencies, growing your own food, collaborate. No, I don't know. Collaborating with other people. Just getting out there, joining the Freedom Cell Network. You need to make it integrated into your lifestyle, into your life design. Because if you're one of those people that joins the Freedom Cell Network, for example, driving it from 1,000 people or 4,000 people to 40,000 people during COVID, and then the lockdowns stop and there's no more mandates, and then you go back to baseline normalcy, you go back to your hypnotic rhythm of day-to-day life, then you're going to find yourself in a pretty difficult situation. Because I tell you what, my friends, the predator class, they're not taking breaks. In fact, they've incorporated into their lifestyle. And so I'm blessed, but it's not by luck by any chance. I've made a career. This is how I earn a living. This is how Rye Guy earns a living. This is how lovely Vanessa there on the call earns a living, and doing her own little specialty too. It's become our life, you see, and everybody has that available to them. There's a massive movement of freedom people that you could cater to them with some kind of good or service, and they'll pay you with alternative currencies, or at least they'll start to learn it and start to do that. So I really want to encourage you guys to just like work this into your day-to-day life, make this a reality. This is a path to opt out. Now let's talk about identity. Ryan, you have a driver's license, right?
I've got a driver's license.
You statist. I have a driver's license too. Does you have a Texas driver's license?
And I got it in 2020.
Is it in your wallet?
It's in my wallet.
Is your wallet on you now?
It's on me right now.
All right. Don't show anybody your driver's license number, but let's take a look at our driver's licenses here. Oh, does it? All right. Let me see the top right corner. Okay. As you can see, we're not going to zoom in. I don't want to zoom in. We're not going to zoom in. Both of our IDs have a gold star in the top right. Do you know what that means? He doesn't know what it means. He's about to find out.
At least it's not on my sleeve.
That was anti-Semitic joke.
Was it?
Yeah, it wasn't even anti-Israeli government. He's been listening to too much Nick Fuentes.
No, I don't listen to Nick Fuentes.
All right. He's off the show.
YouTube one little joke.
One little jab.
Gold store, gold star,
gold star,
gold back,
gold backs. livefree.academy/wolfpack. That gold star on the driver's license in Texas, at least, means that it's Real ID compliant. All right. So a lot of us are worked up. Real IDs coming or digital IDs coming, but a lot of us already have the infrastructure for digital ID integrated into the systems that we're already using. And so I kind of want to make this point. And when I make this point, I kind of feel like sometimes I take the pressure off people to act. But at the same time, this is where true freedom lies, is remembering and understanding that no matter what systems the predator class tries to roll out, when it comes to freedom and sovereignty, in all reality, it's remembering that no matter what they do out there, we are free because we have the will, the free will to choose what we do, and most importantly, to choose what we think. That's the work of Viktor Frankl. I mean, talk about freedom. Ryan's taking jabs over here. This guy did have a gold star on his arm, and he was in a concentration camp, and he saw people around him die. And he worked through that because the only thing that kept him alive was aligning with his purpose and seeing that he had these ambitions to write this book and to really clarify this philosophy. And he wanted to get that word out there. And that's what kept him going. And he recognized, and this later became his book, that he and he alone is in control over his thoughts, no matter what circumstances he may find himself in. And so I want to relate that to a story with the driver's license, because there was about a 2-year period where I was doing the right to travel thing. And we were doing more law stuff here pretty soon. But if you understand what the word transportation is and what happens when you're in commerce, right? So in Texas, you're required to have a driver's license if you operate a motor vehicle. And this entire section of code is under the Texas Transportation Code, right? So you look up what a motor vehicle is, and a motor vehicle is a carrier. It's a carrier. That's part of the other definition in Black's Law Dictionary, a carrier. And then you're like, well, what's a carrier? Well, a carrier is someone that moves goods or persons for a fee. This is all commercial activity. In all reality, the essence of the law is you're only required to have an inspection, license plates, registration, driver's license. If you're operating in commerce, you're getting paid to transport things for people. That's what the word transportation means. And so we voluntarily opt into that because there's trickery and deception going on. Now you try to stand your ground and point that out. And of course, the prosecutor is going to say, don't listen to what he's saying. And they get the last word, because I went to trial multiple times on this. Don't listen to what he's saying. He's just researching stuff on Google. I'm like, no, this is literally the Texas law and Black's Law Dictionary defining what these words mean. I was found guilty multiple times because I imagine most of the jury is like, well, I got to have a driver's license. So does this clown. I was probably acting like a total clown too, and like all arrogant, like I got it all figured out. Anyway, long story short, after 5 criminal charges and being found guilty 5 times, I knew that the Texas law was, well, if you get a 6th one, then it becomes a Class B misdemeanor, and they take your driver's license. You can't even renew your driver's license should you want to for like years. And I was like, and now I had a kid by this time. And so I kowtowed and I went and got a driver's license. But I went to get a driver's license from a position of power because I was choosing to do so. And for a while, I was choosing not to have a driver's license. And I still went about my life. And they brought me into court. And I went into court of my own accord, choosing to go for a special appearance, knowing they didn't have sovereignty over me. And so I just want to make the point that even as these systems come and try to constrict us, we can still hold on to our sovereignty by knowing that we are in control of our lives. And we may be making a choice, right? But we're the ones that are making that choice. And in order to drive this home, I want to drop a quote that I and I alone are responsible. This great quote that really drives it home pretty strongly. Check it out. This is from an author, a libertarian science fiction author named Robert Heinlein. It's from a book called The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. He says, I am free no matter what rules surround me. If I find them tolerable, I tolerate them. If I find them too obnoxious, I break them. If I find them too obnoxious, if I find them tolerable, I tolerate them. If I find them too obnoxious, I break them. And here's the kicker, my friends. And this is where our freedom really lies. I am free because I know that I alone am morally responsible for everything I do. All right. So I just want folks to take that to heart as we go through and enter these trying times that we're going to be facing, because we got digital ID here. You got the CBDCs coming. And I have a feeling the substantial bulk of the audience eventually is going to say uncle. The way out is for all of us to double down on our exit and build activity, to overcome limiting beliefs, to forgive ourselves, to ask for forgiveness, to become the best versions of ourselves, to recognize that each and every one of us has this creative capacity, to recognize that each and every one of us was made in the image of God. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty special. There must be something awesome about us, that God would make us in his image. That's amazing. And we're all creators, but we've forgotten that. It's been bred out of us. It's been indoctrinated out of us. And it's by time that we remember that, because there's an opportunity for us to create an entire world outside of this little box. And as they try to force us in like this, right? You see, here's the box. They're trying to force us in the box. The only way out is to build another world over here. And that's what we're trying to do here in this whole exit and build movement. You got something to add, Reggae?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that was big for me is my wife and I.
My wife.
In 2 days here, this Friday, we're closing on a 3-acre homestead.
Come on.
And so what I had to do some things to make that happen. And so I've always been the guy that I love like nice cars. So when I started working at FedEx, I was making a ton of money. I'm living at home and I buy a Mustang. And then I'm just like, okay, I didn't know about engines. So I had a EcoBoost 4-cylinder. And then I find out, I'm like, okay, there's actually a V8 Mustang, way more horsepower. That's even nicer. So then
4-cylinder and a Mustang.
Then I buy a V8, 460 horsepower,
Nice.
2019 GT Mustang. And then after that, I got a Toyota. I just got a Tacoma, but then I had the itch again to get like
Tacoma was all decked out.
The Tacoma was decked out. It was
like
too.
A militia truck.
But then I was like, I have the itch to get another nice vehicle. So then I get a 2015 F-250 jacked up with the nice rims, with the nice tires, the off-roading tires, gorgeous truck. But then I had to ask myself, I'm like, what do I want more? Do I want the nice vehicle, or do I want to have more money to dedicate to my new homestead? Do I want to have more money to dedicate to savings and projects and all these other things? So then I buy this like crappy 2014 F-150. Rusted. It's all like beat to hell. And now I'm having a bunch of issues with it. But the intention was good. So the point that I'm trying to get across here is like, what car are you driving? Are you driving a car where you're paying $600 a month and you've got a $300 insurance payment because it's fancy and it's got a lot of custom parts that have to be special ordered, so your insurance charges you more? Are you paying $1,000 or more a month for the car that you drive? Why not just get like a $5,000 thing that gets you from A to B, pay for it straight up, or finance it, and your payments will be next to nothing, and start putting these things in action. I'm of the belief that this is going to start happening really, really soon here. But the magic is, at least in my belief, and from what I understand of Orthodox belief, is that the prophecies from the saints and the elders, the things that are to come, the digital IDs, the mark of the beast, those things can all be put off with our repentance. So if we are kind of following JB's advice here and we're making ourselves the best version of ourselves, we're praying to God more, we're giving up drinking, or whatever your particular passion is. Passion is in the Orthodox sense, a bad thing. If a sin becomes repetitive enough, it becomes a passion. So it's like the sin that you keep falling into. So whatever your particular passion or repetitive sin is, if you can give that up and start making more time for prayer and these kinds of things, we can literally stave off these kinds of things that are coming to pass. And then take a real hard look at your life and your finances and figure out, what are you spending money on that's completely unnecessary? Maybe it's your car. Maybe it's going out and spending way too much money on fancy meals, or it could be anything. But take a hard look at your budget. And then a lot of people say, I don't have the money to do it. But then they have money for the $7 Starbucks coffee every single morning before they go to work, or this or that. You have no idea. And John was the one that originally got me to do to DCA, dollar cost average Bitcoin. And just $5 a day, at the end of the month, it's $150 extra into Bitcoin. And so, like, if you go to a lot of people and say, hey, put $150 a month into Bitcoin, they're like, oh, I don't have an extra $150 a month. But then if they cut out the Starbucks coffee every single morning, which is more than $150 a month, or various things that you're buying all the time, kind of just wasting money on, then you can put that money into Bitcoin and then transfer it to Monero, or start saving up for your homestead. Or if you already have a homestead, then you can start saving up for other projects. I guess that's the kind of piece that I'm trying to convey, because it's top of mind right now. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for all of these various projects, because we want sheep and we want chickens and we want the big garden and all of these things, all these fun things that we want to do on our new homestead. I'd really caution everybody to take a hard look at your budget and figure out what you can cut out so you can save that money for more fruitful things that keep us outside of the beast system.
He's got a point. Yeah, moving out of the city is makes a world of difference, without a doubt. Especially these big mega metropolis cities, they're going to be where all this stuff is going down. And I really think we got it dialed in over here at Live Free Academy. This whole exit and build thing. I think we've been banging on it for a while. For a long while, but then since COVID, it kind of really came into clarity, exit and build, and what the focus should be. And so, each year the agenda accelerates. And as the agenda accelerates, it becomes more evident that trading outside the system, alternative currencies, getting out of the city, growing your own food, connecting with your neighbors, joining freedom cell groups, joining other freedom groups. It's like, this is the way. This is the solution. But people still are sitting on their hands. You can't sit on your hands, guys. We got to take action. We got to make this work. We got to do it, and do it now. Get to the chopper, Danny. So, guys, we're coming up on the end of our time. I want to
do it now.
Do it. I want to invite you again, guys. livefree.academy/crackdown. livefree.academy/crackdown. It's going down live tomorrow. If you need a kick in the rear end, if you want to dive deep with me, we'll probably go 2 hours, maybe a little longer, 2.5 hours or so. Take Q&A. What we've shared here on the program. We've been horsing around a little bit, talking about faith. This will be a dialed-in presentation, breaking down the 4 horsemen of technocracy: digital ID, social credit score, CBDCs, and the vaccine carbon passport, breaking it down and then presenting cryptocurrency as a solution, private cryptocurrencies like Monero and Zano, but then going even deeper and saying, well, shoot, the predator class, it seems at times that they're one step ahead of us. We're promoting Zano, Monero, buy it on this exchange, peer-to-peer, this and that, and they're shutting that stuff down, introducing new rules and regulations, but there's still a way out. I'm going to break it all down in the Crypto Privacy Crackdown Strategic Report, Fall 2025 edition. This will be the second time I've done it. This will be updated, expanded, revised, and this is a great way to get a fire lit under your rear end. I'll be bringing the same message of integrating these solutions into your day-to-day lifestyle so that you're not caught with your pants down and trying to play catch up when the next rollout of the predator class's aims happens. It's happening. That's why, we don't spend a lot of time on the program or in our work. We will spend a lot of time during this webinar, but in general, here's the latest news about digital ID. Here's the latest. Let's analyze it all. We know it's coming. We know. We focus on what are we going to do about it. And one thing that makes us unique in the solution space too is we focus on how can we light a fire under these people's butts. How can we motivate? How can we get them to see through limiting beliefs? How can we get people to take responsibility? How can we get people to remember who they really are? How can we get people to align with the purpose that pushes them beyond their comfort zone? That's really the specialty. That's the special sauce that we got. So join the webinar. We'll be giving you all that. livefree.academy/crackdown. livefree.academy/crackdown takes you there. You can sign up absolutely for free. And then, guys, if you want to keep rocking and rolling with me, I got a triple header today. I'm going to be later on at 2:00 here in 2 hours. I got to eat a snack and polish up the presentation. I'm part of this civil 10-week opt-out challenge. Me and the one, the only at D Bros Live Free, aka Derek Bros, aka Mr. Exit and Build, aka
Mr. I told you so.
We are doing a 10-week lecture series on solutions on opting out and exiting. We've already done the first 3. Derek led the first one. They're every Wednesday. Derek at 6:00 Central, me at 2 p.m. Central. Derek at 6:00 Central. Today, anti-fragile resolve. I'm going to be talking about mindset. I'm going to be talking about anti-fragility. I'm going to be talking about courage and preparedness. Things are getting crazy. Prophecies are being fulfilled. Predator class is accelerating their agenda. We got to stay right with our mind. And that's what I'm going to break down today. Guys, on Civil, you can join. Let me see if I can sign in real quick. Behind the scenes here. It's civil.com. That's CIVL. They're tricking you there. There's no second I. CIVL.com/LFA will take you there. CIVL.com/LFA will take you there. And it's not just like check out John and Derek. It's an entire streaming platform. Kind of like Netflix, but not all weird and woke and subtly injecting, causing children to question their gender and weird stuff like that.
There's fun debates.
Yeah. What else you got?
There's fun debates. There's fun documentaries about truth-related topics.
There's technocracy documentaries, like a professional technocracy documentary.
I don't know about a technocracy documentary, but
there is.
Oh, there is there? Oh, okay. He does know.
He knows.
So, yeah, there's a bunch of really cool documentaries and debates, little kind of things like Derek and John are doing. So it is a really, really cool truth-centered platform. So we would recommend checking that out.
Civil.com/LFA. It's $5 a month, $5 a month, your cup of Starbucks coffee, or $50 a year. You get 2 months free. Civil.com/LFA. And then for those of you here in Central Texas, join me in East Austin. There's this Web 5 Summit. I don't even know how to share the email, actually. Shoot. Let me grab it. What do you got, Ryan, to wrap us out? Any closing thoughts?
The other thing that I was going to say is that, so aside from like the budget stuff, is my plan. So we're moving to, town about an hour east of Dallas. So we'll be out of the Metroplex and away from all of that. We're going to be like straight up in the country. And so my plan is,
ding, 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 ding.
Yep. There'll be a lot of banjo playing from the front porch. We're going to invite everybody on our street, all of our neighbors on our street. We're going to invite over for a meal, and we're going to get to know everybody. And we're going to really make the effort to get involved in the community around the town and just be major players, make all of these connections. And I think that's also another big thing. Maybe you're not looking to move or buy a homestead and you're happy where you are, but just get more involved with the community. Have that relationship with your neighbors. I know a lot of people today, they don't have any sort of relationship with their neighbors, and they've lived there for years and years and years. So make the effort, get to know your neighbors, get involved in the community. And then when these kinds of things start coming down and you have a relationship with the local sheriff, and the local sheriff is instructed to do X, Y, or Z, but then he has a relationship with you, he's going to be way less likely to screw over his friend, someone that he has a relationship with, than if you were just another schmo. So That's what I would say.
Don't be a schmo. Don't be a schmuck. Don't make people squeal like pigs. And that's from the Deliverance. Ding, 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 ding. Go make squeal like a pig. Have you seen it?
Deliverance.
He just knows the surface level reference. That's okay. You guys know Deliverance, maybe, in the audience. We won't explain what it means. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, I got the website, and thanks for sharing that, Ryan. And I appreciate that you're practicing what you preach. What we all preach here at Live Free Academy, Exit and Build, Freedom Cells. Get out and get involved in the community. Here's the website, guys, for those of you in Central Texas, conference.I. Is that an I?
Or an L?
Oh, it's an L. It's Lab 484. Conference.l484.com. It's going down today. It's all day. It's already started, 11 a.m. to 6:45. It's in East Austin. You can RSVP on Partiful. This is good, like all the craze lately. Partiful. Your buddies use this. Partiful. I'll be speaking. There'll be a talk on this decentralized open source AI. Brian Becker, love this guy. He's in town. I guess he's in town a lot here now. He's talking about the Free State Project. There's going to be brisket, Bitcoin poker. You got to come out. They're doing like decentralized internet stuff out here. It's also going down in Weir, New Hampshire. That's why Brian Becker is going to be speaking from New Hampshire. Love that. And there's a live stream if you can't make it live. Actually, if you can't make it live, RSVP. She says there's nothing on the screen, but it should be screen sharing. This damn platform. I'll be damned. Are we small? Let me know if we're small. Anyway, okay. That's been happening the whole show, I take it?
No way.
I moved from, look, people are leaving now that we're like troubleshooting. I moved from Brave browser to Firefox because the picture would be blurry on Brave. But it wasn't blurry on Firefox. But now we have this other issue. I think I'm just going to blame StreamYard. The screen goes totally black. Anyway, there's nothing there. We'll have to troubleshoot that. Maybe I'll just use Wirecast for all of it. Anyway, nonetheless, guys, thanks for joining, Ryan. It's good to have you back.
Glad to be back.
Peace and freedom. All right, guys. Hey, thanks again for joining. Hope to see you on the webinar tomorrow, livefree.academy/crackdown. Hope to see you in less than 2 hours on Civil streaming. Somebody asked if you get extra content if you join for a year. I don't think you just get access to the whole thing for a year. You save 2 months. 2 months are free, or you could do $5 a month. Civil.com/LFA, all sorts of good libertarian stuff, freedom stuff, lectures, documentaries, movies, live Q&As with folks besides just Derek and I on the lecture series front. And then for those of you in Austin, I dropped the link there, conference.l484. There's also a live stream, conference.l484.com. I want to thank you for joining us here on Live Free Now Show, bringing you the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live a free, prosperous, and healthy life. Until next time, peace and freedom, guys. Bye. He's on camera. He doesn't know it.
I'm looking.
Oh.